Tankers, what is up? This is Alexbuildit. Today we'll be taking a look at the brand new Tier 10 Soviet tank destroyer, the Object 263. Although it has the smallest millimeter for any tank destroyer so far, only 130 millimeters, it makes up for it in almost every respect. In 1950, the development of a heavy tank destroyer on the basis of the IS-7 heavy tank was started. 3 design projects were developed, one of which resulted in the Object 261, which will not be coming to Blitz, and another one resulted in the Object 263, which was also built into a full-size wooden prototype. Further development was actually discontinued due to the phasing out of the IS-7, unfortunately, but there was the full-size wooden mock-up produced with the 130mm gun. What other tank has a 130mm gun? The Su-100Y. In the garage, notice how flat this tank is. It's very flat and very long. Very interesting with that claw on the back to dig into the ground to fire the massive 130mm open-top gun. Why is this tank so good? It's because of the rate of fire, which almost is as good as the Leopard 1, and with equipment can actually beat out the Leopard 1 without equipment. Let's take a look at it compared to other tank destroyers. The T-110E4 can only bolt out about almost 4 rounds a minute. The T-110E3 can bolt out almost exactly 4 rounds a minute. The Panzer E100 doesn't even come close, can only bolt out 3.38. The Object 268 comes a little bit closer, managing to bolt out 4.3 rounds per minute. The 1E3 doesn't even come close, it can only bolt out almost 3 rounds a minute. Having 7.7 rounds per minute without equipment can make this tank almost have as much firepower as in terms of how fast it can fire as some medium tanks without equipment. This is an absolute damage per minute monster. With AP, it averages 460 a shot. Let's take a look at this tank and armor inspector. The front is actually very decent. 250mm armor on the superstructure, which is actually slightly angled, and the same for the front, which is even more angled, making that probably more about 300mm thick. Very difficult to penetrate. The gun shield is flat, but it is 250mm, so it's going to be a little bit weaker than the superstructure, but what's really going to be an issue is the 150mm lower plate. This is what you're going to want to hide. This tank, unlike the Object 268, actually has decent gun arc and gun elevation. Its gun depression is -4, not that bad. As you see around the other parts of the tank, the only strong part of this tank is the front. It actually has a very weird ammo rack. You can actually see the ammo on the inside of the tank on the back left and back right. Easy to destroy. I've actually encountered myself getting destroyed several times by several direct hits to that location. This tank also boasts one of the lowest aim times ever for a Tier 10, only 2.3 seconds. The dispersion is low, the accuracy is high, it can play well as a sniper. With the armor, it can get into front brawls as long as you're careful about that gun shield, which it could probably spam heat or APCR at. Speaking of which, this tank does not have heat, it only fires AP, APCR, and high explosive. The high explosive does not have very high penetration for Tier 10. So basically what you are getting is a very fast firing, very accurate, and very high damage per minute machine that actually has higher damage per minute than the Object 268. In fact, it has higher damage per minute than a lot of medium tanks and heavy tanks. This thing is one of the best tank destroyers available to you. The grind is a little bit interesting. I'll be having some videos on some of the tanks that lead up to it. Just a little preview of what you're going to be getting and how it stacks up to the other tank destroyers. It's coming to you soon in 2.8, folks. This is a legit monster of a tank destroyer. Although this footage is sped up a bit, notice how well it deals with all enemy tanks thanks to its good firepower. And these tanks are Tier 10 that you're looking at. They have Tier 10 guns, so when they bounce, that actually is showing how the armor is like for an unaimed shot. Of course, they're not firing premium ammo, these bots can't do that, but as you'll see, I'm just absolutely whamming them. I'm shaking my superstructure a bit to provide a little bit of armor. Unfortunately, they get a few rounds in, but from here on out, it's smooth sailing. Just reload again and again, the decent penetration, the decent damage per shot. 460 is the lowest for any tank destroyer, but still, when you have that high of reload comparable to some medium tanks, it just makes up for that instantly. The reload time is great, the dispersion is low, it's a sniper brawler, it can fulfill many roles throughout the battle. Anyway folks, thanks for watching this Alexbuildit production. Consider like, commenting, and subscribing. Keep watching for 2.8 info. There's going to be a few more things coming out, including new consumable changes. Alexbuildit out. Blitz on, tankers.